Hello, hi, welcome, and thank you so much for being here. I brought you outside tonight because it's a gorgeous night out. It is pretty late for me to do a reading, but I did feel really called to do a reading tonight. So let's see why and see what the energy is and what would be helpful for you. This reading is timeless, so whenever it finds you, it is the right time. See what resonates, and always follow and trust that divine inner guidance that's in you. Try to make balanced decisions between logic and intuition. So your decisions are sound, based in love, and for the highest, greatest good of everyone. So we're all uplifted in love. Let's begin. We're going to start with the heart's hidden secrets and dive right into the dark and see what's going on, possibly that you don't see, or maybe you see but you feel unclear. Let's see what God's source, Holy Spirit, Christ consciousness, our higher selves, angels, and energies of love have for the highest, greatest good of all. Actually, let's ask what you don't see right now. You possibly feel energetically, but I do feel like there's something that's in the dark, and maybe it's because you know somebody's coming back. You know somebody is thinking about you, even if it was perhaps lack of communication or some distance between you and a certain person. I feel like you don't recognize, or you never really thought this apology would come in. This is somebody who really wishes for your forgiveness. They feel bad about something. They want to return. They want to do something different. They want to at least clear up some confusion or express where they were coming from, or make amends as to why they made a certain, I hear mistake, but maybe it's action or inaction. I feel like somebody is really worried right now about how you will respond when they come in. But in this particular card, the message is forgiveness. So that's going to create a lot of changes, not just in this certain dynamic that wants to come back in, or this certain person that wants to come in, but how the partnership can unfold. It's also, if this apology never comes on in for you, then your message is to still be in that energy of forgiveness, because to be in that energy of forgiveness releases you, helps you to flow, helps you to move. It doesn't tether you to a weird situation that was painful or confusing or difficult. It doesn't condone someone's actions. Remember that. Sometimes people learn, sometimes they do not. Sometimes they don't fess up, come clean, have self-awareness and self-responsibility, and sometimes people do. So we'll dive in. We're going to get more clarity on this. But where you can have responsibility is offering forgiveness, even if it's just energetically. It could also be the other side of the coin for some of you. If there's something that you did and you have a self-awareness that you really wish you did something a different way, then maybe somebody really needs to hear your apology. Because all of these readings go both ways. And maybe that's not the same person coming on in to apologize. Maybe that's just somebody else in your life. Said the wrong thing, you know. Maybe at the time you didn't even know you hurt someone, or affected someone in a certain way, but maybe you find that out somehow. You see somebody's acting a little bit different around you, and maybe ask and have a clear conversation about that. And I feel like if you weren't aware that you did something kind of weird, but maybe somebody expresses why they are acting in a certain way or acting towards you in a certain way, then I feel like it might be almost like a backtracking where you're like, oh, yeah, I guess I kind of acted like an ass. But I feel like if that's you, you have full responsibility right away that perhaps you just, acted without thinking, or didn't recognize how maybe somebody was really sensitive to something and you just kind of spewed something out but didn't really mean it in a harmful way, but it was taken a little weird. I feel like that's what it is. I don't feel like your intentions were to hurt someone. I feel like you were probably really truthful, maybe a little blunt, but maybe that hit a sensitive spot with somebody. So maybe that's why I saw something happening in the dark for you. Maybe you don't expect a certain person's reaction or a certain conversation to bring clarity to someone's weird movements or something like that, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I didn't even know I did anything wrong. I kind of feel like it's that. If that's you, that needs to apologize. There could also be an apology because somebody walked away or somebody had to close a door. It could also be that somebody isn't ready to apologize or come through your door until they make some amends or clean something up in their life. This is definitely somebody that has already walked away or they're going to. And if that's not from you, it's maybe away from something else. And that doesn't have to be a partnership. That could be walking away from a job. That could be walking away from a certain project that wasn't flowing anymore. I feel like it could be a group, but this is definitely somebody who doesn't want to bring the baggage. This person's leaving with a little bottle of water and a backpack. They're back on track if they got off track. This could be somebody who never gave you closure and expressing what had actually happened in a situation, saying farewells, leaving something behind, and closure. Sometimes we're not gifted closure. A lot of times we're not. And sometimes it's in that uncertainty, that not clear-cut final conversation where you start to question yourself or what did you do wrong, and it can get overwhelming in your head. Or maybe that's how this person feels if you were the one that walked away. Maybe you just energetically released. If you felt somebody's energy change, or you hit that final almost breaking point where if it's done, it's done, and you took something as a gigantic hinteroo, and maybe somebody felt your energy pull away, and maybe that is why somebody is drawn back in to clear something up. So what is another message on apology and finality? That somebody wants to commit. Maybe somebody is finally walking away from a situation that was holding them back and coming forward to commit to you, or recognizing that you are someone they want to be on track with for the long term. If this is somebody that was in and out, up and down, kind of like a roller coaster ride, this is somebody who wants to be in fidelity and commitment and make a promise that they keep towards you. If for some of you, you had that closed door, somebody walked away, maybe they apologize, maybe they do not. Maybe this is apologizing to yourself, or even having forgiveness for yourself if you were in a situation that maybe you accepted less than, or accepted breadcrumbs or something like that. Maybe you saw the best in someone, but they never followed through with actions that matched words. That's okay. What did you learn? Every one of those weird situations, you learn more about yourself. And I feel like if you were the one that had to walk away, drop the baggage, say, thank you, next. It was a weird run, or it was a great run, but that run is done, and you are heading in a different direction. It's bringing you towards someone who wants to commit, somebody who wants to be there, somebody who wants to follow through, somebody that even when they mess up, they apologize. They're aware of their actions. They don't want something to keep running in weird territory or weird energy. They want to talk about it. They want to get back on the same page if you get, out of sync with one another, if you get off track. So this could be somebody who was moving at a different speed or a different pace in the beginning or in the past, and now they want to really be on the not just on the same track, but on the same train. I feel like there's a switch up here. I feel like it's a complete turnaround, and I feel like whatever the switch up is with who wants to be committed to you or who you want to commit to, I feel like it's, I hear equal. And I see somebody going in the driver's seat and then taking a break and like napping in the passenger seat, and then vice versa. So that kind of feels like you are on the same road in the same lane, but there is equality towards who is in control of that wheel. And I feel like if somebody is, you know, driving the wheel, and I feel like this is just an energetic impression I'm getting, there's somebody else who has the map, or there's someone else who is, you know, changing up the radio station and helping with the flow of conversation. I feel like there's a nice balance coming in. I also feel like some of you maybe are going to take a road trip. I mean, this is really big. This is marriage. For some of you, you are maybe into committing to someone, but maybe marriage isn't your thing, or maybe marriage is really what you want. Maybe somebody else wasn't really on that page or on that track before. Maybe somebody had to really make some big changes in their life and catch up with you on that train. Maybe you changed somebody's mind. Maybe somebody had to have their mind changed on their own. But if that happened separately, you still have to have that conversation, get back on track with one another. Because I feel like if you were separated from someone, you both learned a lot when you were separated. So how do you be engaging on those lessons and those changes? So if somebody is coming back, for some of you, and that's what you want, that's not everyone's situation, but if that is what some of you have been manifesting or desiring or hoping for, then I definitely feel like communication is key. And I feel like there needs to be some big prominent changes in how the cycle moves now that are different from how it was moving before. Because I feel like right now I see that train track and I see it expanding, you know, going farther, the territory growing, the terrain getting bigger. I feel like before, whatever you were going through, whether that's this person coming back or that past partnership that you were in, or just maybe you in general in life, I see one of those little choo-choo trains that's more like a toy than a big vehicle. And I see it, you know, when it goes around a restaurant or it goes around a room, but it just keeps going around and around. I feel like that train fell off the track. So let's get one more, please and thank you. I want to know more about that commitment, because I feel like that is definitely coming in for you. Or you're entering into someone's life, and even if that's a person that generally didn't think they wanted to be in a partnership right now, I feel like you're going to enter on in and kind of change someone's mind. And that's because of who you are. Here's another message, please and thank you. One more from this deck. That's beautiful. You're coming back into peace and balance. You're coming back into harmony inside of yourself and with someone in particular, or there's a particular person entering into your life that just feels peaceful. Even if it feels like it's something that should be difficult to balance, for some reason you make something that could be difficult really easy. Or it's a lot easier now. It could be for some of you. If you had somebody that wanted to commit to you and something happened, it could be that you had to close some doors, make some changes, leave any baggage behind you that wasn't there in your life anymore for the highest and greatest good or going to help you expand. It was just pulling you back around and around. I actually see someone trying to walk away, and I saw like a rope around somebody's waist and someone's like holding somebody else back. So maybe there was another group or individual or just overall energy that hold on a rope. Could be a job. It could be, you know, that fear of maybe change or doing something different, or fear of new territory ahead. It's easier to stick with the terrain you know. And I feel like somebody has let that rope go. If somebody was trying to get away from you and you were holding a rope on anyone else, you need to let that go. If someone wants to go, let them go. If they're supposed to come back in, they'll come back in. And if that person does not come back, you have created the room for the right person to come into your life with this energy of balance and peace, tranquility, serenity, friendship, companionship. And I mean, if it's here, it's friends and lovers. But it could also just be, for some of you, a really good friend. It doesn't have to be marriage for all of you. Maybe it's the right vibrations around you overall in your life that are coming in. Maybe for some of you, you had to create the space by letting some people you don't groove with so well anymore go. It is okay to go through cycles in your life, and when you feel this desire to expand, sometimes people fall out of our world. It's no longer a vibrational match. You're no longer into the same things. You know, you don't vibe with how you were treated or what somebody constantly does, especially if it's somebody who has habits that repeat or patterns that are not healthy for you. It's okay to let that go. Move on. And I feel like wherever you are moving on, you're heading towards really cool people, if not a really awesome person here in your life. There's something here with that ball, like maybe the ball is finally moving. I also sort of see with this particular card, it could have been a little bit of a Two of Pentacles kind of energy, a juggling act, looking at where you're placing attention at different areas in your life, whether you're multitasking or you have one focus or two things you're focused on. There's a way to just do an adjustment and see how much attention you put every day into something. And if you feel like something is a little too heavy and there's something on the back burner, it's getting ready to burn, or you shoved it in the freezer and you know something's going to hit that ice like frozen, you have to take something out and I'm getting like warm something up, melt that situation. I feel like it's not for all of you completely releasing energies and then taking on something new. I feel like there is an adjustment period. There is a way to recognize where today you can focus your energy that you didn't yesterday, what needs your attention a little more, and then you can always do a back and forth thing, because I feel like this is different areas of your life. I feel like it's probably work, family, projects, passions, a relationship. I keep seeing a road trip, so maybe vacations. So how do you balance all that in your world? If you're just always working, but you're desiring to have a little fun, or you have a friend that wants to go on a road trip, maybe you need to schedule in some time off, or be okay with saying no to someone or getting somebody to fill in so you can, I'm just getting it will recharge you. It'll actually rebalance your whole life. If some of you have, you know, a time right now where you're having a lot of fun, but then you're kind of lacking on something that you feel it's like I feel like it's a project you should start. It's either relating to a talent you have or an idea you've spoken about with another person, or it's almost like a plan you've written down, but you never took a step in that direction. Maybe for some of you, you even started something and then it sort of was half done, half finished, like a masterpiece you never got back to. And I feel like whatever that is, you're gonna resonate with what this is. It could be a partnership, it could be an actual painting, it could be a project, a business plan, calling somebody back for an interview, going on another date, You know, you had a really good time with a certain person, you went on a bunch of dates, and then maybe you just didn't call them up. You got really busy in life. That happens. And maybe if you're getting itchy to go back to, you know, maybe have a good time with that person, have a date 4, have a date 16, whatever it is, then maybe you need to make those adjustments to bring some balance back. I do feel like you're going to have an itchiness that you should be doing something. You're also going to have an itchiness that there's something else you're putting your time into and it doesn't feel right anymore. Hopefully all that made sense. What should we do? Let's go to something different. I'm going to do this. This is a raise your vibration. Let's just get you a little bonus message here. What's a little bonus message on apology, finality, commitment, and peace? Please and thank you. It's true, you are a divine facet of the universe. You're multifaceted. That's what I think I see here. I feel like it's not just one thing that you're good at in your life. I actually feel like a lot of you are really deep. You actually have a lot of different things that you can do. Maybe that's why some of you feel a little overwhelmed with which one to focus on, or where to put all of your energy, or all of your ideas, where to even begin. I do feel like some of you are going to figure out a way where you can kind of be like an octopus. You can actually do more than one thing at once. You know, if your commitment is to work on a bunch of different projects, or commit to different talents that you have, or different areas to focus on in your life, then I feel like you can figure out how to do it all. Maybe for some of you, we're telling yourself, you know, it had to be all or nothing. And maybe it's not that. I feel like I can hear some geese, some honkers up there in the sky. When I see the geese, even though I can't see anything at night, I think of that V, which reminds me of the victory card, or the chariot, which is the big V for me, which is also getting on the right road. And it says your mind is an altar to source energy. So you have to clear your mind. You have to open your mind. You have to discover all the things you don't know that you don't know that you don't know, but there's so much to learn. Never stop learning. That's really important. That keeps your mind sharp. That keeps you able to see everything in your life in a different way, instead of getting stuck in, you know, wearing the blinders all the time. Maybe there's some new insight or wisdom that you gain. Another direction or facet that you can dive a little deeper into. Your mind is an altar to source energy. Also, besides clearing your mind and being this energy of balance and harmony, I do feel like it's clearing the old mind clutter. But I actually see that for some of you, I think an extra message is, you know, I saw this person with just a little backpack. I feel like some of you would benefit if you clean your desk, clean your car, maybe organize your clothes. Kind of like a spring cleaning kind of energy, but really do look at the things that you have around that are overall feeling like a mess. I feel like some of you have a great project you can start, but you get sidetracked because you know you have to do like 10 loads of laundry, or get to those bills, you know, that you procrastinated on. There's a way to reorganize something that really streamlines you, and I feel like that actually gives you more of that space that you actually desire to put into a partnership, a commitment, a project, yourself. So maybe just pick a corner. Some of you probably have houses that are beautifully streamlined and simple and very organized. I don't think this is your message, but there is still something about, you still have one weird drawer. You still have some kind of thing that you need to get to. So maybe it's making a plan or getting yourself a little more organized with something. I just see it's like you putting something off. Like, I'll get to that later. That's not that important. I feel like something like that is going to become more important. So let's do the tarot, because I feel like a couple of the last readings were very heavy oracle focused. So let's dive on into the tarot and look at the energetic weather going on. Maybe look at the different facets of your universe that you are seeing. I just thought of that song. You are the sunlight in my universe. That's such a pretty song. Because our love was really something real if I could change the world. Wow, that kind of slipped on out. So what is that one? That would be someone who maybe needs to clear the mind clutter. That's somebody who's maybe confused on what decision to make, what to do. This is sometimes illusion. Sometimes it's beautiful fantasies. Sometimes it's confusion created by energies that might be weird around somebody. Sometimes it's so many choices in front of you that somebody stalls and doesn't know which to choose. Or it feels like so many of them are out of reach that they never take a step towards anyone in particular. Sometimes somebody is so worried about choosing one and it being the wrong choice that they go for the one they know, but that's not really the right choice. Maybe it was 10 years ago. It's okay to choose wrong. You can delete an option. But when you go towards the one you feel emotionally pulled towards, the one that feels like it's right, you're going to probably hit the victory. But there's something here with these different choices. It's sort of what I saw before. It's that you don't have to just choose the one. I mean, I do think if this has to do with commitment, that is a one. That's just another person that you commit everything to. I feel like these choices are more likely different areas of your life or different projects you can work on. Maybe for some of you, you are in high demand and there is more than one choice that you have, or maybe that's what somebody else was non-committing to. If they were non-committal to you, maybe somebody felt like they had all the choices in the world, so they didn't make you a priority. Maybe that's part of that apology. But if for some of you, somebody's over here in flaky land and they don't come through, I feel like you're getting out of flaky land and seeing something as a gem, like multifaceted, multidimensional, but not up there in the air all the time. Let's see, why did the 7 of Cups slip out? This could also be, sometimes I see it as coming home empty-handed, or getting sidetracked to the point where somebody goes to the store for the spaghetti sauce and they saw all these other things on sale and they get home and they're like, the only reason I went to the store was to get spaghetti sauce. How did I come home with 10 other things and forget the one thing that I needed to make this meal? So sometimes you have to go back to the store and get the first thing that you wanted to actually get in the beginning. And sometimes it's just almost like a heart fog or an emotional confusion. This could also be somebody trying to confuse somebody else. That rope that I saw, somebody pulling somebody back. Why do you want to go that direction? Why do you really want to go there? You never went there before. You should stay here in the little plastic choo-choo train track that you know, and that's where you're going to be comfortable. So it could be somebody in your life or somebody in someone else's life that was making somebody out of balance and in this energy of delusion, because they're always kind of putting up the smoke in the mirrors in a situation. Let's see. Clarify the 7 of Cups. Why is the 7 of Cups here? Please and thank you. Oh, yeah. You have the 3 of Swords into the 4 of Swords, which is actually really nice. Somebody was confused about heartbreak. somebody was in delusion land about if somebody felt a certain way about them or not. Somebody was heartbroken because somebody perhaps said they would commit and have many, many road trips in years ahead, and then changed their mind, walked in a different direction. It could be that a commitment became a heartbreak, became a cycle that was over. This energy really does blow. You know, this could also be if somebody caused a lot of pain or put you in a too many choices or third-party situation, whether that third party was another individual or a family member or a lover or work. Sometimes it's even a mindset that you had to play second, third, fourth, fifth, seventh fiddle, and you're supposed to be in the VIP first chair. Maybe somebody had to really be separated from your energy to feel the loss of you, to come back around to fully commit. Maybe for some of you, you went through a heartbreak and it sucked. It sucked. But maybe this apology is coming in about that. Maybe this never comes through. Ooh, little buggeroo. But this is healing from this because you're moving to the 4. You've learned from those past heartbreaks so much more about yourself. You gain so much strength to what is healthy for you and what is not. You know, if you want a partnership to come in now or in the future, you want them to commit, not constantly make your heart feel like it's in the battleground or constantly put you in comparison to somebody else. If this is somebody else's energy, it could be something you need to apologize for, or if you were the one that walked away. And I'm not saying this is somebody you went on 3 dates with. I don't think it's that situation. But if there was somebody that you were pretty committed to, and even if it got a little weird or that transition was super awkward or you didn't really know how you felt in the heart, but you know that you probably really hurt somebody, then maybe that is where your apology comes in. It's really strong. It's kind of rare, and it's definitely mature if you can give somebody a little bit of closure. You don't have to make it a big old, sit down kind of situation, but maybe just express your gratitude and appreciation, and you hope that they move on, and leave it at that. You don't have to go into really digging in on exactly all the details as to why something happened. But maybe that helps somebody not put so much pressure on themselves that they just did something wrong. Because usually it's not that somebody did something wrong. Sometimes it is. Sometimes people F up big time. But if it's just that there was a disconnect, there was a distance, an energetic separation, somebody just wanted to go in a different direction, it doesn't always have to be that somebody did something like mean or bad or wrong. Sometimes it's just done. If for some of you, you are dealing with someone that you just cannot talk to, there's never a friendship or that energy of peace or balance, and somebody is always super imbalanced and they throw everything back at you or hold on like that rope. I want to know that, why did you hurt me, or why did this not happen, or this always happens to me, and it is that kind of energy. It is possible for some of you. You have to maybe accept that there maybe has to be a difficult breakup and a complete separation of your energy, and sometimes that is the best way. Especially if it's a situation that is final and done, and you coming back in is giving somebody hope if this is a situation that is done. I feel like it does need to be final. You need to be direct if something is done, not reopen that wound. But I feel like for most of you here, because you're moving to the 4, you're finally at peace in yourself. You finally feel healed, that you have moved on. You feel ready for anyone maybe that comes in, maybe soon, maybe down the road. But this is just feeling at peace in yourself, enjoying the friendships and the people you do vibe with. This is learning usually a pretty big lesson You've organized those thoughts or those conversations up there in front of you. You allowed something that was confusing to be sent out there in the energy of prayer, and had gratitude for probably every situation. Once you're in the energy of gratitude, even for the weird shit you go through, that vibrational frequency just, it's healing, it's growth. It takes you into a new direction. It makes you feel back into balance. There is one thing that this person is laying on. Sometimes this is a meditative state. And sometimes I see this as even rest in peace. But it's not as harsh as like the death card would be. It's being at peace if something is going away or gone away. It's gentle acceptance. Upside down, we will take a look at that. Upside down, that's somebody who's not saying goodbye to possibly somebody they are committed to but don't want to be. And every day they are in a bed they don't want to be in. Every day they feel like they go to sleep and they never know if anything is going to be balanced one day or not the next. Never quite gets on the same page. It's where somebody is in the fluffiest bed in the whole world, but in an environment. It doesn't have to be a partnership. It could be a roommate. It could be a friend group. It could be a workplace. But it's that energy where you should be peaceful, where you should be resting, where you should be comfortable. You always feel like you got to have that big old armor on. And it's never really comfortable. But the way to gain that comfortable energy is to be at peace in your mind, which is kind of this message here. And starting there is where with that 4, it brings something back into balance. It's like you got that baseboard of the bed. Now you can work on the big fluffy, mattress, and then the duvet, and then the heated blanket or the weighted blanket or whatever you do to make it more and more comfortable. You build upon it. So, what else? These are all also just minor arcana. None of these are huge energies. It's just like a day-to-day situation that you are pretty much in control over how it works itself out or does not. If none of this feels like it's you, or you are way past heartbreak, you've been at peace and loving your bed or your environment or your committed partnership for a long time, it might be that you are getting clarity on what somebody else has gone through or is going through. And maybe you are the one that helps somebody feel a little more peaceful about a situation, how they can grow from it and change because of it and not be up there in la la land so much. Maybe you are the one to peacefully bring somebody back to reality. What is another message? Please and thank you. One more message. Ooh, yeah. So, all right, so this came out upside down. I said something about no major arcanas coming in. But whatever I saw before where somebody was holding somebody back, even if that's just an energy or a mindset that's holding somebody back, you have the devil here, but it's coming out upside down like this, which means that whoever this is that was totally lost by delusions or overwhelmed in heartbreak is releasing that energy. It's facing anything overpowering. It's facing anything that was bringing you out of balance. It's facing anything, even if that's just how you're thinking about something that's keeping you in chains from getting on the right track. It could be somebody releasing those chains of unforgiveness that finally gets somebody to move and expand. It's recognizing anywhere where you don't feel happy, even though the devil energy can come in as kind of fun at first, but then that fun overpowers and takes away from other places that would be more beneficial and healthy for you. This is an unhealthy situation. It's an unhealthy obsession. That might not be you. That might not even be the person you are going to be connected to. I did say something about a possible third-party situation here. That could be somebody who is an ex of yours or an ex of somebody coming in that just doesn't want to let them go. You know, they're never at peace in their mind or peace with who they are because they're too reliant on energies outside of themselves. And it's also chaining that person down from their own blessings, their own peaceful energy. It's the too much energy. We're going to clarify it. It could be too much work if that's the third party and somebody's working too much. They're not having any time to commit to a person they maybe are really in love with, or will be, or could be if they went on another date and had some more fun, because they are committed to and chained down to their job. Sometimes this is a person that, you know, like I see it as somebody like goes to the gym all the time but doesn't get enough rest to actually repair their muscles. It could also be someone that is obsessed about a past ex or a past heartbreak or a past situation, but they're putting that energy and giving that situation too much power over restricting where they are now instead of letting it go and seeing what you get to do now that you have released the chains. Because you have the lovers here, but they're chained to this podium. So why is the devil here? Also, sometimes like this could just be somebody who is a little obsessive right now because maybe you had to let someone go. Maybe you are not in somebody's energy anymore. It could be somebody obsessing on whether you are now in a committed relationship with someone else, and they didn't even think about how much that would hurt them until they perhaps mindfully see that you have moved on. Maybe somebody has to have peace with something changing. It could also be somebody obsessed that if they don't come in and restore the peace pretty soon with you, they might lose you. Especially if they feel like you are a person that somebody would absolutely want to spend the rest of their life with because they recognize that you are somebody who always gets back on track, even in shitty times. That even where if you're not sure with which choice to choose, you'll step up to bat and give it a go. Maybe it's not your game, not your arena, not your circus, not your monkeys, but maybe you have to step up to see, you know, if something was worth it or not. I do feel like there's a little drama here, but I don't think for all of you it's yours. I do feel like a lot of you decided to not be in the drama or chose to walk away from some drama. And I also feel like if some of you are connected to somebody who you see they're always making wonky decisions because they're always worried about somebody's hurt feelings or a lot of drama in their life, and you recognize that, you know, there's a lot of imbalance there. I do feel like it was probably hurtful for you to walk away. Maybe you recognize somebody was in chains, but until somebody's ready to face that devil energy and say, what? This isn't working anymore, or this can't be, or I need to cut that out cold turkey, or this has to be adjusted because there's something imbalanced here, then that could be a situation where there has to be when a person's ready to do it. I I do feel like for some of you, you had to leave someone to learn maybe a lesson the hard way. Maybe that lesson was learned for some of you. That's why somebody's coming back. Maybe for some of you, somebody learned that lesson and they're just going in a different direction, but good for you for being an amazing teacher and being the one to help someone see a situation that maybe they didn't even recognize was an unhealthy karmic cycle they were in. Maybe for someone to get a huge reality check, you had to walk away. Wow, this is an interesting reading today. I'm definitely getting a lot of different scenarios with whoever is watching this. I'm not getting this one big story. So I want to clarify that double energy. It could also just be a Capricorn. Sometimes that could just comes through, and it's saying, if something was so restricting, it's time to have a little fun. It's time to let loose a little bit, because that's still unhealthy or imbalanced. If someone just isn't, letting themselves have a little fun here and there. Sometimes it's just connecting to a Capricorn, and that's a very strong, powerful, pretty amazing energy. Capricorns are kind of badass. They're also usually like a boss kind of energy. They can handle a lot. I always feel like the Capricorn energy is the one that can even go out, with friends at night, have a good time, be out a little bit too late, but they will get their ass up the next day and be there at work, responsible, and do their thing. A Capricorn can handle a lot. They're very grounded. They're very sensual. They're very deliberate. So for some of you, it's not that weird ass energy. Maybe it is one thing you gotta release, but for some of you, you just might be connecting to an earthy energy. That would be somebody who would want to stick around and want to commit to the right things. That's also an energy that's strong enough that if they saw somebody was wishy-washy over here, even if they recognize that might cause a painful ending within themselves or towards that person, that's not somebody afraid to cut somebody off. They'll break those chains themselves. Clarify the devil, please. Yeah, somebody's hearing the big old judgment call. It could also be that truthful conversation that has to happen. It could also be that some of you have somebody kind of obsessing about a certain person from afar and being a little bit of a nosy pants. But this could also be somebody who's observing how somebody is stuck over here, or observing how somebody else has grown so much in their soul and got unstuck after a karmic situation and entered into a more of a Dharma North Node kind of energy instead. This is the big soul lesson. Judgment is a spiritual calling, a spiritual lesson. It's not just a normal judgment or a justice kind of situation in life, like making a better choice, signing the contract, bringing something back into balance, making an adjustment in life. This is an adjustment in one's soul. That angel's up there, huge, like, doo, 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 doo. You can't miss that trumpet, hello. It's like, yeah, now is the time to change. Now is the time with that judgment call where you got someone saying, yeah, there's something kind of negative or there's something unhealthy there. And you and your soul absolutely know what it is, or this person is going to hear that call and know, can't go through that cycle again in that old way, that restricting way, that unhealthy way. Even if it's one tiny thing that needs to change to bring something back into balance, that's worth committing to. It could also be where somebody has to really own up to their own actions. If you are completely unaware in your mind that you did something wrong, you're probably going to repeat a cycle until you get into a situation where, in a big reality check kind of manner, you will finally hear that lesson. To change or not to change. This is also recognizing the amazing things that you have done, that you keep, and those amazing seeds that you planted, those amazing habits that you have, or attributes that are in your multifaceted personality and life, you keep, because that brings that Dharma energy, which brings abundance. It brings blessings in. It's like a beautiful butterfly effect. You have divine help here. You know, it's releasing judgment on others that restricted you, made you feel stuck, releasing judgment on yourself. You're human. You're multifaceted here. You're a divine child of God, and you are protected. You have help from your angels. You have help from your spirit guides. You have help from God, from your higher source, or from your higher self, from source, on every cycle that you go through. Those changes start within you. Those changes begin with self-awareness. Those changes begin with you facing things that you were fearful about before, and facing something head on without the fear, because you know to face it is going to only create positive release and huge abundance and blessings, and a chance to open a brand new chapter in your life. This Page of Swords could just be a message coming through. It could be that apology. It could be a really harsh text message, you know, saying, I can't do this anymore, and, you know, I'm moving on, this relationship is done. This could be somebody that's just really direct and to the point and kind of blunt. It could also be somebody that asks a lot of questions. This could be somebody new in your life, because it's a page, it's a new energy where they want to know everything about you. They want to ask you all the questions. You know, what are the weird things that you went through? How have you changed throughout the different cycles of your life? What are some decisions that you made that were wonky, or what are the choices that you knew were right in your soul right away? What brings you peace? Where do you feel uncomfortable? You know, what are your quirks? What are your dreams? The Page of Swords wants to know it all, but they're usually pretty expansive with their mind and how they want to learn, because they know they have room to grow. They know a partnership can grow if it's new. They know that they can grow from going through it. The Page of Swords could also be where somebody is right now observing from afar, because they're gathering information to know how to get out of a weird situation and have a final ending, maybe with the least amount of heartbreak possible. You can't always make everything perfect, but you can do something in a soft energy. It could also be that somebody has been observing you because they're really into you and they just want to know more about you. Maybe you don't know someone's obsessing from a computer screen or something, but they're super curious. Maybe somebody's a little nervous until they hear that big call and they know, yeah, they have to ask you out or have to finally apologize. The Page of Swords upside down is that nosy energy that knows it all but knows nothing. Upside down, they don't have follow through. They don't know how to use that sword. They never gained the right knowledge. They listen to gossip. They listen to hearsay. They only went to one source. They only read the Cliff Notes. It's somebody that pretends like they have all the information, but maybe just it was all bullshit to keep somebody in chains. Maybe it was even somebody who kept somebody off balance and questioning themselves because they preferred a person chained down with them, even though with them it was probably not healthy and probably not comfortable. But sometimes people get obsessed because they don't like the lack of control. Even if what they're controlling isn't really healthy or isn't really stimulating or isn't really working, it feels better to be in control over that or over someone else or over the outcome. So they could be manipulating a situation or creating confusion or in a really low-ass vibration because it's easier to, you know, work with someone that's confused than someone that's solid and committed and sure and in a high vibration and follows through, says what they mean what they say. I almost got that in the fire. This is somebody that usually means what they say, but they need to learn more to have it follow through. This is somebody that lies. Not if it's a Capricorn. Capricorns are amazing. Just if that energy of the devil. You know, the devil will tell you whatever they can to keep you in those chains. Big promises to keep you restrained. You know, that tempting kind of energy, but there's some kind of selfish kind of tactic for that devil to have a hand and restrain on a situation, to be the one in control. And yet, even with that devil energy, what that does, it backfires eventually. Somebody finds the key to unlock that. Somebody is not actually fully committed. That heartbreak bites them in the ass. And if it doesn't happen as a big judgment call in this life, it will in another. It always comes back around. That's laws of the universe. So I kind of want to, universe. Laws of the universe, very appropriate. Let's go to the universe. I feel like, the devil can feel like it's a big energy, or it scares people, or they don't want to see that card. You know, people that don't know tarot, like, they don't want to see that card. But I see that card as now someone being strong enough to break the chains, strong enough to see something that's too scary to even look at and notice that it's not as scary once you look at it and you make the changes necessary. It's somebody strong enough to now suddenly have awareness and consciousness of what was bringing them out of balance, what was too much energy in their life, what they were putting too much attention and obsession into, and now knows how to pull back and reorganize everything. This is also somebody that is in their bare naked truth here of what they did do and what they didn't do, how they handled something and how they would change handling something in the future. Therefore, you're already in the energy of growth. It's like, it's actually really positive. It's like, good job, you know? So let's get one from the universe. What is one more from the universe, please and thank you? You can't do, whatever. Remember when I said that? I saw that train going around the restaurant or around the room. You can't do the same thing over and over and expect a different result. You need to jump the track. You need to make an exit. You need to knock on the door and say hello. Change comes from thinking. It's your mindset. From thinking thoughts you've never thought before. That's that page too. This page is a smart cookie. It's an intelligent person. But it's also having the intelligence that sometimes you need to go back to that young energy and start all over. Scary as that might be to face. Sometimes starting over on your own with someone else in general is how to really have a fresh slate on your, fresh clean slate, new foundation on your life that you can build upon. Especially if what you were building before was a little too wobbly or a little too constraining or unhealthy or constantly putting you in the heartache battleground or in confusion land or putting that big old armor on instead of feeling like you can rest at night and be at peace in that fluffy bed with the person that wants to commit to you. It's change comes from thinking thoughts you've never thought before and showing up to meet them down the streets you've never walked before. That's exactly what I saw with that track, with getting on that train and it taking you to a new map, new territory, new experiences, maybe a new person, a new you, which is kind of beautiful. So I feel like that was our reading. And if that doesn't feel like that's your situation, that's just giving you awareness on where someone else's energy is right now. So with this, I bid you adieu. Thank you so much for joining me out here this evening. I love you so very much. And I look forward to seeing you very, very soon. Bye.